live to TBN Gameday Live, your St. James Academy pregame show. I'm alongside Zachary Wilson, Jonathan May, and Isaac Woolitz. I am Will Nichols. Today we are talking about all things St. James Academy athletics. First of all, state soccer took third last week. A great effort by the boys in one of the most impressive seasons we've seen at St. James. Last week, football team, they're the last team still playing in state, by the way, on the fall side before we transition into winter sports. Football team got a big 37-19 victory against the Basel Linwood Bobcats. Jonathan, tell us what you saw in that game from St. James.
I saw a lot of mistakes. Obviously. I think 37-19 really isn't a very accurate score for how the game felt, at least in that first half. I know we were up, I believe it was 18-17, maybe 19-17 at halftime, 17-16, excuse me. And it felt like we had no business being up in that game with the turnovers and the sloppiness that we played with in the first half. But I did like to see a bounce back in the second half. The offense looked like they were in a little bit more of a rhythm. The defense stepped up. There were some big plays on the defensive end. So I think it was, talking to Tyson after the game, it was definitely a wake-up call for the Thunder. And it's not, hey, you can't just come out here and fool around with these teams just because they're not in the EKL. You've got to attack every game hard and pretend like this really is going to be your last game.
Yeah, as Johnny said, I think the team kind of overlooked it, right? They started off really bad. Block punt, interception early, not a very good executed fake punt. Played down to Baser's level and went down 7 points, but yeah, they really locked in the second half.
And Zach, obviously, like Jonathan and Isaac were just mentioning, a tough game for St. James, but what do you think really is the team's takeaway heading into the next week?
Well, as much as they struggled, it was great to see some resilience there. In the playoffs, when you're facing elimination, it's really hard to not kind of get in your, your feels a little bit and just worry that this could potentially be the end and let things spiral out of control. So it was great to see some resilience. They're definitely going to need that going down the line here.
Absolutely. And Jonathan, I want to ask you mentioned the resiliency there. This obviously is a very senior-heavy team, senior quarterback coming back, Tyson Beshore. How much do you think having guys that are so experienced helps with that resiliency that Zach was mentioning?
I think it means a lot. You might not be able to really notice it out there, but I think you'd notice it if it was not there, if you understand what I'm saying. Everyone just seems a little bit more relaxed maybe than if there were a bunch of juniors, maybe some sophomores on the team. They carry themselves with a little bit more confidence and seem like they're more ready for the moment. They want to live up to the moment. They're not shrinking from it.
Absolutely. And Isaac, I want to ask you, obviously, a difficult game for St. James. You got the win. But what do you think were the really big mistakes, and what are the things that kind of scare you heading into the game against Blue Valley North this week for St. James?
Yeah, the punt. There's been multiple block punts. They do the rollout rugby-style punt. That's been an issue kind of all year, and snaps on it. So, yeah, we need to lock in on special teams. Had some bad holds throughout the year. We need to lock in on special teams big time if we want to keep going in the playoffs.
For sure, and I know that's something Will and I have talked a lot about in the booth, is it seems like every game there's a knock on the Thunder on the special teams kind of side of the field. So whether it be, like you said, blocked punt, snap over the punter's head, a bad snap on a PAT, or just a missed PAT, it's the little things that haven't come back to bite them yet, but have scared them and can come back to bite them if they don't clean it up.
Absolutely. And Zach, I want to ask you, how do you think, practice this week and even practice last week, how do you think the team is trying to address some of the special teams issues right now internally?
Well, of course, they're really working on it a lot during practice. We keep going back to punt often. We run punt 20 minutes each day, and so it's really important that we get that under control and not lose any games like we did against Blue Valley early in the year because of it. But I think they really just are coming together on special teams, and hopefully we can see some great things.
Absolutely. And this week, fellas, we got a big test. Blue Valley North Mustangs. Now, this is the St. James team. They beat Blue Valley North 28-0 last time. It was a dominant performance, but this is a very different Blue Valley North team than the last time St. James faced them just over a month ago. Jonathan, what do you think, Blue Valley North is going to look like coming into this game against St. James, and what does St. James need to do well to succeed in this game?
I think they're definitely going to look better than they did week 4 or 5, I believe it was. I think maybe one of the things we talked about, especially with Miege, is kind of some of these young teams, maybe teams that aren't expected to do great, they kind of can come on as the season ends. They can kind of start to gel as a team. And so I think they're going to look better than they did when we played them the first time. And St. James, again, they can't overlook their opponent. Sometimes it's tough when you're playing a team you already beat, especially by a 28-0 margin, to be like, oh, we got this. Mm-hmm. Blue Valley North is going to come out swinging. They don't want that embarrassment of being shut out again. So the defense is going to have to really be locked in. The offense is going to have to be playing their best football in order for us to have a win. And not just a win, but I think against this Blue Valley North team, the St. James needs a convincing win. moving into a potential game next week against a powerhouse.
Yeah, of course. Blue Valley North coming in with a major chip on their shoulder, right? They have absolutely nothing to lose in this game. They're 3-7. They're like very lucky, or not lucky, but like they've earned to be in this position. But not a lot of people thought they'd be here, so they have nothing to lose. So they're a dangerous team to look at. But you know.
Absolutely. And can you speak to that a little bit, Isaac? This Blue Valley North team coming in 1-7 in the regular season, now winning 2 straight in the playoffs after seemingly everybody had written them off.
Yeah, they're going to be walking into this game with lots of confidence. They just scored 34 points on the 2 seed, then 41 points on Leavenworth. So they have some offensive performance the last couple of games. And senior running back Frankie Dryman, he's averaging 6 yards per carry on the year. That's a stud right there. Definitely one of the top backs the Thunder have faced all year. So they will definitely have to stop him in that run game. I don't think the Thunder will be able to hold another shutout like last time, but sub 10 points for sure.
And again, like that kind of speaks to coming on late in the season when you have your 2 best offensive games in the playoffs, even though they're maybe against subpar competition. You know, that's when the offense starts to get hot. They start to get more comfortable. Maybe the playbook opens up. They try to get a little more fancy with some of their stuff because they feel confident. And so that's something that the St. James defense is going to have to be ready for, and they're going to have to try and, impose their will early and make sure that Blue Valley North realizes, hey, you're back against an EKL team. We are more dominant than you, and we're going to take it to you.
Absolutely, and this St. James defense, it's been a real strong point for St. James this year, but they have given up 22 and 19 in the playoffs. Now, those aren't super high numbers, but considering how both those games went, you probably should have been able to hold your opponent to less. Blue Valley, you were up big and really gave up a lot of those points in the fourth quarter, whereas Baser, kind of the flipped opposite. Baser scored a lot in the first half, not much later on. If St. James can't put together a full game on the defensive end, that has to be really concerning for the Thunder, I think.
Yeah, well, I think some of that Blue Valley points, the JV went in the fourth quarter, so the defense still did absolutely great in that game. But yeah, as you said, they looked pretty bad in the first half against Baser.
Yeah, I think the defense is going to be key here. To just be able to, of course, as Jonathan said, impose their will early and tell Blue Valley North, like, no, this is not happening. We're going to beat you just like last time. Nothing is different, We don't care. You won 2 straight games. So that's really important that they come out early and strong, because if, Blue Valley North gets a little momentum, that's when they can get dangerous.
And a strong defense can also help the offense because they don't really have the pressure of thinking, hey, we need to go down and score a touchdown every single time or else our team's not going to be in it. When you know that your defense is going to come away with stops, maybe come away with a turnover or 2 and give you good field position, that takes a lot of pressure off you as an offense and as an offensive coordinator, if you're Matt Joshi, to know, hey, let's just call our plays. We don't really have to worry about the defense giving up too much. We can, take our time on offense and do what we want to do.
Absolutely, and this is a unique game with, Tyson Beshore has not played against Blue Valley North this season. He was injured that game. Francis McGinney stepped in at quarterback for the Thunder and played a very good game outside of a couple fumbles in the first quarter. But, the rest of this team has seen Blue Valley North. Tyson is not. So what sort of impact do you think that might make for St. James on the offensive end of this game?
Of course, it's going to make the offense a lot more dangerous and dynamic. Joshi was probably trying to play it maybe a bit more safe with Frankie at QB, maybe call a lot more like runs and no deep balls, but this week they can really unleash the whole offense and all the weapons we have we can utilize and really take it to North.
Yeah, I like what he said. There's going to be definitely less quarterback runs with Tyson out there. So yeah, in Blue Valley North, they can watch film on Tyson, but they might not know what's coming at them. A lot better pass game, deep balls over the top. Everything's going to be coming at them this week.
Agreed. And, even with those QB runs when Frankie was the quarterback, he still threw for almost 200 yards, threw for 187 yards, was 15 for 19 through the air. And he's not really known in this offense as a passer. And Parker Chase and Sam Neeson both had at least 75 yards. So the Blue Valley North secondary definitely has holes in it. And I think with Tyson back, as you said, Zach, they're going to look to exploit it.
Absolutely. This is a super exciting game coming up for St. James against Blue Valley North. We will have it for you on the Thunder Broadcasting Network in just a moment. Next up on the Thunder Broadcasting Network, we have St. James Academy versus Blue Valley North for Zach Wilson, Jonathan May, Isaac Willits. I'm Will Nichols. Now let's send it up to the booth. Next, it's St. James Academy Thunder versus the Blue Valley North Mustangs.